You don't get muscle and better, heart health in one time. It's getting those reps. And that's what the men are getting. That is the secret. They are playing early. They're getting a ton of reps. And guess what? It's not really about the cards. It's about the person you're playing. So this is why these computers cannot figure out this game. This is why it's a brilliant game of skill. And it looks like the classroom. It looks like my negotiation room. It looks like the deal room. It looks like the boardroom. And the guys are ready. The guys are ready for it. So that first time you have to take risk when, you both come out of school, you're equal, you have the same job, and he's going to take the risk with 60% confidence and needs 90% confidence because she doesn't have the practice. It's not that she's not capable. It's just, I don't have the reps under my belt.
I mean, I think it's a full circle moment from you saying that, even myself, I mean, how cool that you made this, right? Because earlier you were saying it was as if myself was the only real blocker. And that's really what women in male dominated spaces face. I know that from engaging with my community. I'm often asked all the time, oh, Nicole, you're so brave. Oh, Nicole, you speak up. How do you do this? And it's like, I can't be afraid to lose. I just can't, I have to take the risk. I have to, and it's calculated, I'm not just running around doing crazy things. I'm very strategic about it. I have to make a decision. I have to plan, being open to being a risk taker is not a replacement for being a planner, right? It goes hand in hand.
Absolutely.
And that's what in poker as a game, which admittedly I must learn. I did grow up in Texas. I grew up in Texas partly, so I do know some Texas Hold'em, but I don't play it often. So we're gonna fix that though. But it ties it together, right? All in one game. And there's so many societal things that go into, what your experience in bringing, Pokerpower to life, because as women growing up, you're not handed a deck of cards, you're handed a doll. It's just a lot goes into that, but it's so cool that you're able, to find the almost the gap for women within almost your own daughter first and her friends. And then, it trickled into what this is today. And I think there's so much opportunity to help fix that gender gap in leadership is really where it's so impactful, right? Because even take finance, technically nearly half of the workforce that enters finance are women, but it's the leadership roles that end up being 10%, less than 10%, right? And it gets lower there because somewhere along the way, someone, we stop believing in ourselves? What is that? And so those are a lot of it tackles all of these different elements all at once.
It's amazing. So I learned poker with, girls and moms and then it was COVID. So I had never sat at a real poker table. And now, mind you, I've been in a male dominated industry, since I got out of school in 1990. So I've been there for a long time. I grew up with four brothers. When I first sat at the poker table, it was like a weird card room on the West Side. But we were there with some Pokerpower women. My heart was beating out of my chest. There is something fascinating about the cultural phenomenon that has been created. And guess what? I keep saying the genie is out of the bottle. We're going to nip this thing in the bud, and all of those great lessons that women can learn. That's what Pokerpower is doing, is creating a safe environment, all ages, all seniority levels, all come together because nobody knows it. Nobody knows how to play. You are absolutely one amongst everybody I speak to. And we're going to learn together, and we're going to figure out how to be great at this game. We don't have to play for money. We can play for money if we choose to play for money. That's a whole nother story. But what we can do is get reps under our belt. We can practice playing the game. And by the way, talk about men play because it's fun. Yes, there are people who play to make some money, but what is there's nothing better. It's cheap. It's easy, right? It's just getting your friends together, and then you learn this game of skill that actually is fun at the end. The best part of this whole thing that we had no idea I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So these events are happening all the time. Is the reason they're calling is because the one learns about the one because they just had the best,
The best
convention
time.
or summon or like ERG or DEI event or whatever it was. And like, there isn't anything like it because all of us haven't experienced this feeling before, right? Of the first time you pull in your chips, the first time you do something that you if you harken back to, when you do things for a first time, but when you do things for a first time that it doesn't seem like you should be doing, it's totally different. And we have a lot of women who are scared to do it. Let's be clear. We have a really big hill to climb.
Right.
You say poker, like I'm super grateful that you are listening and having me here today. But like most people turn away because it's not for them. Even of my closest friends, like there's a third of them who jumped in right away. A third who were like, okay, maybe. And a third I had to, have, 3 drinks in before we said to play. And but that's just our truth. But guess what? They love it just as much as the first group love it. And they might use it totally different, but until we make it normal, we always talk about it like women driving in the 20s and the 30s. They weren't driving. It wasn't societally, appropriate for them to drive. Eventually they started driving.